Hello everyone, welcome once again to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm ShadesAtKnight.
And today we're going to be doing a commentary podcast on X-Men 3, The Last Stand. Are you ready, Shades? Are you excited? Isn't this your favorite one?
Oh yeah. When it comes to the X-Men films, this one is in a league of its own, that's for sure.
We were joking before we started recording that we might just let Shades talk the whole time and I'll just take a nap. Because Shades has so much he could say about this movie. How long do you think you could talk about this movie? You think you could, watch it 3 times in a row and still say more things?
I probably could. There's actually, when we reach the credits, I'll have a little bit of a speech I want to give, but I'll say that for the credits because I don't want to talk over something I actually want to talk about as well, so...
You wrote a speech for this?
I didn't write a speech, but I kind of have one just in my head. I mean, I think most X-Men fans do when it comes to this film. So,
I thought you were... My fellow Australians, this movie sucks. That's my speech. In the end. But I mean, there are some redeeming things about this film, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, there definitely are, yeah.
Well, if you've never listened to one of these podcast commentaries before, what we do is we talk about the film while we're watching it. And if you want to watch it along with us, that's definitely the best and most fun way to do it. You can get out your DVD or your Blu-ray or however you want to watch it. And just ring it up right now if you're going to do that with us to timestamp 0. Make sure to get past the menu and get it all rigged up. Then get it to 0, pause it, and then press play when we tell you to. If you don't want to listen to it, if you don't want to watch it while listening to us, if you're in your car or something and you want to just listen to us, you can definitely do that. And we'll do our very best to give you plenty of context for what we're talking about and make this as much of a podcast as it is a commentary. Ready, Shades?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. Everybody, press play right now.
I'll say right off the bat, I like how they keep the X on, from the Fox logo on for a few more frames like in the first 2 films. But the thing I like about the title sequence for this film is that the Marvel logo is all X-Men comics.
Yeah, and I think they started doing that kind of around this time and then just kept doing it.
Yeah, well, they haven't done it I think this is one of the last films that they did it with.
Oh, is it? I thought they were continuing to do that.
No, not really.
I guess I didn't pay much attention to that. What do you think of the effect that they did on this to make Patrick Stewart look younger in this opening scene?
Well, I think it makes sense, and both he and Ian McKellen, I think they do a better job on Ian McKellen than they do, but to be honest. It's a little creepy to look at first, because you're just kind of not used to what you're looking at. But
that's true, and I don't know why it didn't occur to me that, of course, they did it on both of them.
Yeah, well, I'll just say real quick as well, the thing I love about what Magneto's wearing right now is that it's like a purple cape kind of looking thing.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that.
As soon as when I first saw this film, I thought, oh, that's cool. And, yeah. But I like the effect. I like it a lot better on Patrick Stewart here than I did in X-Men Origins.
Oh, it looked terrible in Origins.
Yeah, he kind of looked all CG.
Do you find yourself wondering what must be written in that pamphlet? like they have a pamphlet for Xavier's school. What could it possibly be talking about without giving itself away?
I know. Well, I'd like to know...
We have great chefs at Xavier's school.
We have a basketball... Nothing underneath it.
There's nothing underneath it. We promise.
Well, they kind of address that in X-Men too, how, Iceman's parents that think that he's at a prep school.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
But that means that pamphlet would just have to be filled with a lot of lies, really.
Yeah, although, Jean's parents seemed to know that there was, something up with Jean, so...
Yes, that's true. They are sort of like, can you help her?
Yeah.
So they must know something.
Yeah, and the way, Magneto says, you think your daughter's sick? Is, yeah. And, okay, two awesome cameos coming up. Not only is Stan Lee there with the hose, but Chris Claremont is about to be here with his lawnmower. There he is.
I didn't know that until... Oh, yeah, that is Chris Claremont. Okay. Yeah. I never noticed that the first couple times I saw this, and then I read somewhere that they had a cameo there, and I was like, wait, that's who that is? Okay.
Yeah.
I think maybe at that point I didn't know what he looked like.
I didn't know what he looked like when I first saw this as well. I read it online as well. Until, I guess, like, up until a few years ago, with the exception of Stan Lee, I didn't know what any comic book writer looked like, so...
If Claremont was going to have a cameo in an X-Men film, this would be the one, although...
Kind of.
Because this one borrows theoretically the most from Claremont stuff, except that it doesn't do it right, so it's very bittersweet,
Exactly. I sort of feel like he should have a cameo in Days of Future Past.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Although, who knows how much that'll be based on,
the actual Days of Future Past,
yeah. We already know that Kitty Pryde's not going to be there, which kills me. But, speaking of, actually, very creepy. With, young Angel and, the former mayor of Gotham City.
That is who that is. This is one of those things where this flashback stuff is all working pretty well. It's just that all these characters get such little screen time throughout the movie that kind of like Spider-Man 3, really, you kind of forget about characters.
Yeah.
And, they come back later and you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot. I mean, that being the teaser, Jean and then Angel, wouldn't you figure Angel would figure much, much more into this plot than he does?
Well, compare it to the flashbacks that they had or the prologues that they had in X-Men 1, which were Magneto and Rogue. You'd kind of think that Angel would play a similar role to Rogue in some ways, with the fact that he gets his own prologue, but...
this theme we're hearing here sounds more like it belongs in a Spider-Man film.
It doesn't work. It's not that it doesn't work, it's that John Powell is a very good composer, but I don't think he got the right tone for this film, to be honest.
I do like that he's bringing back that theme from the first film a little bit.
A little bit.
That's a little bit in there toward the end of that opening titles. And the opening titles is too short.
Yeah. Until Wolverine, they didn't, or X-Men Origins Wolverine, they didn't sort of have very long title sequences. The thing was, the first two films had a Patrick Stewart voiceover, so...
Oh, that's true. And I gotta say, I just got finished recording the Spider-Man 3 commentary, and then I also recorded the Superman commentary before this also, and those both have long title sequences.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'm forgetting that the X-Men movies didn't. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So finally, Danger Room.
Yeah, and once again, it's kind of bittersweet because... Actually, I'll talk about this. The original concept, when Bryan Singer was still attached to this film, was that they were going to introduce the Danger Room because Cyclops blamed himself for not getting the X-Men ready enough for a big threat like what they faced in X-Men 2, and that's why Jean died. So then
there's actually a reason for it to be here, not just a token scene.
Exactly, yeah. So they were going to set up the Danger Room as, as Cyclops getting the team ready for, what was going to happen, and Cyclops isn't even in this scene, so...
Yeah, all it really does is set up this superficial character arc for Wolverine of, he's got to learn how to be a team player, and I never bought that, and also to make, Aurora a bigger deal, which also doesn't work, but I don't really understand how Wolverine having someone throw him doesn't count as teamwork.
Yes. And,
just explain that to me. How's that not? It's teamwork. He couldn't have done that on his own. I don't understand.
Yeah, and I think Fox thought that they were really pleasing X-Men fans here, that we had Colossus throw Wolverine and the Danger Room.
With the Fireball Special, yeah.
Yeah, and a Sentinel head. I think they thought, oh, look, the X-Men fans are going to eat this up.
Yeah, and I think that most X-Men fans, and I'm sure you were this way, were kind of more like, oh, is that all we get?
When I first saw this, I thought, cool, the Sentinels are in this now as well. 'Cause I didn't really see a whole lot of trailers for this, way back then. I I was someone who wasn't on the internet all the time, so I didn't watch trailers a lot, and I didn't read up on news stories regarding the film, so
the good old days when you could just go watch a movie and be surprised by everything and not feel like you had to know everything before you went in.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of missed those days, and I did that with Skyfall.
So did I. Oh.
Yeah, and, so I didn't, well, I don't want to say anything that'll give anything away for people who haven't seen it yet, but,
Sure.
The fate of certain characters apparently was, spoiled online months ahead, so, yeah.
Oh, well, good thing you didn't look then, yeah.
Yeah, and,
But yeah, I don't see the point of putting a Sentinel in the Danger Room, in a universe that, as far as we can tell, doesn't have them.
Yeah, and...
Because what that really means is just, whoever programmed that came up with Sentinels.
Yeah, when you did a rewind on this and you said, well, I guess Xavier built the Sentinels, I was like, wow, I didn't think of it like that. That's interesting.
I forgot I said that.
Yeah.
By the way, can I just go on record to say that when I did that rewind, it was kind of the early days of Rewind, and there's a part of me that would like to redo that one.
Yeah.
And a couple others like it, just because I think I was actually, dare I say, too hard on that film.
Interesting.
When I did the rewind, I mean, not to say that I like it more now or anything, but it's just, I mean, I gave it a 1.5. I have given movies I think are worse than this film better scores than that now. I would put this in before Ghost Rider.
I probably would as well. Yay, Beast. But, yeah.
The thing is, it's got a lot of good ideas. Whereas movies like Ghost Rider were just kind of bland from the beginning. This film, all the problem is in execution. But, base a film on Whedon's Astonishing? Yes, please.
Yeah. The interesting thing, actually, I'll say this real quick. One of the things that I don't like about this film, not just as an X-Men fan, but as as someone who loves cinema, I just think there is some poor filmmaking in this film. I don't like...
Oh, okay.
I don't like the cinematography, generally speaking.
Really?
Yeah,
that never bothered me. Okay.
That shot a little earlier of Beast's secretary just felt so strange. I don't like the color palette in this film.
Do you feel like it's not stylized enough? Like it looks too normal and mainstream, or?
It kind of, in some ways, looks too much like a typical Hollywood action film.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
And, whereas, it also looks, I don't expect it to look exactly like the Bryan Singer films because, different filmmaker, different team on that film, or on those films. But,
sure.
It looks like not a different continuity, but, I don't know, it looks like maybe we've jumped a whole bunch of years, like maybe a whole lot of years have passed. It looks like it's a different time for these characters. And it kind of, and you brought this up in your rewind as well, it kind of looks a bit more like more modern X-Men comics.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange. I know part of the story is based on a more modern X-Men comic, but it even looks like stuff that was, that was very recent with like Fractions Run and stuff like that. It just kind of looks like a new time, like they should be living on Utopia by now.
Yeah, the feel of it is almost like it's a separate continuity.
Yeah.
In places. I mean, I don't want to say that flat out, but there are definitely places where, in just weird inconsistencies that feel like they were thrown in there deliberately. Well, we've got the same actors from the other movies, and we're kind of going on those, but we also really want to just flat out put things from Astonishing and other things in there, like the, mutant levels.
Yeah, the class...
The class system and all that. But I'm sorry, you can't introduce that in your third film.
Yeah, unless they were suddenly like, we've now decided to have, class systems for mutants. If they actually explained why it was there, it'd be okay. But they just kind of...
Well, yeah, I could see the government maybe coming up with a class system.
Professor X just kind of throws it out there like it's something they've always said. It's like...
And Magneto does it too.
Yeah.
He's like, the only class 5 mutant I ever... I'm like, well, you've never talked about classes before.
And the other thing that doesn't help with this feeling like it's a new continuity is, why is the president different?
I really was bothered by that when I saw it in the theater, because the president is a big deal at the end of that film.
Exactly.
At the end of X2. Mr. President, we're here to stay. Well, Mr. Other President, we're still here to stay.
like, Storm says in an upcoming scene, like, we have a president in the White House who understands us. And I'm like, really? Really? Why is he releasing the cure? Like.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, just from something I just saw in the scene, I really wish I had that power where I could take notes just by waving my hand across a page.
Me too.
That'd be so cool.
And there's Blinky Bill, as I like to call him, is back.
Right.
Australians will get that joke, but
you said Blinky and I thought it was funny.
Well, just to clarify, Blinky Bill is an Australian cartoon about a koala, and that was his name. And
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to say I really like the casting of Ellen Page as Kitty Pryde, and being a huge Kitty Pryde fan, I so wish she actually had a purpose in this film. She doesn't.
She really doesn't.
Apart from being involved in yet another love triangle in this franchise, because we need as many of those as we can get, apparently.
And thank God First Class gave us a great Moira McTaggart, because I was let down by that.
Yeah.
I didn't like that she was just sort of in the background in this film. Like, what is the point of adding a character that for X-Men fans is a big character? Yeah. I mean, she's important for I almost said Patrick Stewart, for Professor X.
Yeah, exactly. She's, I was really, at first I was like, wow, Moira's in this thing. Like when I first saw this, actually, I'll say this, when I first saw this movie, I liked it. There were definitely, I had problems with it, but I was just happy to see the X-Men back again.
Yeah, sure. I think I had such high expectations because of X2. And again, it being before I was keeping up so hard with stuff on the internet, I wasn't even paying attention to the fact that, like, Bryan Singer wasn't directing it. I was just happy with some of the choices for New Mutants they were putting in it and stuff like that. And, I'd see posters at the movie theater and stuff and be like, rock on, this movie's gonna be great. The only thing I had wished was that Gambit was in it.
Well, Gambit was, originally in the script. I think even, James Franco auditioned for Gambit in this film.
Wow, that's interesting. That would have been a horrible pick, by the way.
He would have been very good.
You think? I like Franco, but I don't know about Franco as Gambit.
Oh, I think he would have been good.
Okay.
I mean, I think Franco's a versatile actor. It wouldn't have made sense for him to be in the two biggest, superhero franchises in film at that time. That would have been kind of kill.
That would have been weird.
Especially when, Spider-Man 3 came out a year after this one. It would have just been like, okay, Franco, we get it. But,
wow, that wouldn't have been the first thing I would have thought of. But anyway, I'm sorry. I went into this going, there's no way they're going to mess this movie up.
Yeah, when I saw that Beast was in the film, and, Kelsey Grammer was fantastic in this, but, when I saw that Beast was there, and Angel, I was like, wow, the original 5 X-Men are in a movie together. That's really cool.
Boy, wouldn't it be cool if they had a moment?
Yeah, exactly.
There's some sort of moment where those 5 characters had to go off on a mission for some reason.
Yeah, like they
might not have been easy to contrive that, but you know what I mean.
They did that in X-Men Evolution, and that's just a very cool.
Oh, I never saw that episode.
Yeah, like they because Angel wasn't really a part of the regular cast, and Iceman was one of the younger characters in that show, and then they had this episode where they all went on a mission together, and Iceman's like, yeah, definitely the cool team.
That's funny.
This speech that Warren Worthington II is giving here is word for word from the first issue of Astonishing by Whedon and Cassaday.
Yeah, cool.
It's not given by the same person, but it's like Kavita Rao is in the background there, but it's I don't know. I like that they picked something, they read something verbatim from the comic.
So did you think it was a bad idea to have, to like have Angel's father be the one that was responsible for the cure? Because I thought that was an okay idea.
I thought that was a fine idea. I didn't have a problem with it. I was surprised. I don't know. It does feel kind of a contrived way to make Angel part of the film, though.
Well, no, it is. I think that it's just kind of a way to shoehorn him in there. It's just another way to get another mutant in there. Because there's a difference between a real natural character arc and going through the motions. And that's what we've got here with Angel, is just going through the motions. He doesn't have a real character arc. We got these little, flashes of him, and he has those moments, and then you get to the end and he's kind of free at the end, I mean, like, we don't spend any time with him, so who cares?
Exactly. There were, on the posters, he was in in an X-Men suit.
He never wears it.
No. So was Cyclops. It's just like, that's false advertising.
So, was that actually supposed to be Toad crawling around?
I don't think it was.
That's so weird, because it looks like him.
I know. First time I saw it, I was like, Toad? I mean, it's not Ray Park, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who that was supposed to be. Because if it is him, then I guess nothing happens to a Toad when he's struck by... Oh.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I kind of thought that he got electrocuted to hell.
To hell!
Yeah. He got electrocuted, then fell in water. Wouldn't that be even worse? Anyway.
Isn't this one of those movies where it's got a lot of actors that are so much better than the script that it's fun to watch, and then you have to kind of, if you've seen it before, you have to kind of remind yourself of where it's going? Because it's easy to get sucked in anytime Ian McKellen starts talking.
Yeah, like this speech particularly is really good.
Oh, it is. It's really good, yeah. And I like that he starts throwing the word brotherhood around.
Yeah. It's weird. There are actors that understand their characters a lot better than the script does. In the entire franchise, in some cases.
That's true. I agree with you.
McKellen is really great as Magneto, obviously. I don't like all these new mutants that they bring in here, though. I don't get why Kid Omega is now, I don't know, a porcupine guy.
Yeah.
Callisto is only there because they're going to take Mystique out and Storm needs someone to fight.
Yep.
Who else is there? What sort of a power is that? Come on.
Having a porcupine face?
Yeah, like, what's he gonna do?
Well, and I love how he's standing up to Pyro, too.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, you better look out, guy who can make fire all around everything. Because all I have to do is stick my face into your head. Like, no.
Apparently he can kill people by hugging you, as we see later in the...
As we see later, yeah, right. What a goofy power.
Yeah.
But I like that actor a lot, though. I mean, it's sad that he gets this role here, but he's in Lost, and I really liked him in that show.
Oh, is he? I knew him from, I think he's in one of the Rush Hour films, and Brett Ratner did the Rush Hour trilogy.
Oh, okay.
I like him fine as an actor. He's just got a
silly role here, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I do like this
Mystique pretending to be the president.
Yeah, and this guy was like, "Oh, Mr. President, shut up."
Shut up. That's great.
And I will mace you in the face.
I will mace you in the face. Or spray you in the face. That's funny.
For a second I thought when I first saw this, I thought that actress was the
little girl from the end of X2?
Yeah, that would have been...
Yeah, me too.
Wouldn't have made any sense, but it would have been cool.
It's like, why are you being her? Well, I guess it could have made sense. I mean, she saw that. Or did she? No, she wouldn't have seen that. Because that little girl was just in Professor X's head.
Yeah, I mean...
So that wouldn't make any sense at all, actually.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made any sense. It would have
I guess these movies just like little girls that look like that girl.
Yeah.
They're typecasting little girls that sort of look the same. Oh, all right. Thank goodness in this movie for Kelsey Grammer, because Beast doesn't get nearly enough screen time, but Kelsey Grammer is such a veteran actor that he's got presence in every scene he's in, and you feel like he was an original X-Man. You get this feel through the whole movie, and not just because there's a couple drops about it, but like through the whole movie that he's been in this universe even though we haven't seen him.
Yeah. And it's funny saying that he doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, because at the moment it feels like he's been in quite a bit of the film.
Yeah, but he's going to get kind of written out.
That's what I mean. Like, they spend all this time at the beginning kind of focusing on characters, and it doesn't mean anything by the end. And Grammer's so good in this scene. Like,
I don't like the idea, and I guess you have to simplify it a little bit to just to drive the point home visually. I never liked the idea that just because your powers go away, you would like lose hair like that on your hand. It just doesn't make any sense in my brain.
well, part of his ability is that, it was another stage of mutation where he turned into, a hairy blue guy.
That's true, but I mean, would it just disappear? I don't know. I think it's kind of weird.
Well, I don't know. I'm okay with him doing this.
I guess it did just appear in the first place, so maybe.
I mean, that's part of the whole character arc of, I'll get to talking about the character that's on screen right now in a second.
Yeah. Well, because we better hurry up and do that, or we blink, we'll miss him.
Yeah, but with Beast, like, one of the whole things about him with the cure in Astonishing was that, he sort of says, I want to blend in with other people. I wish, one of the great lines is, I wish I had a mouth that I could kiss with. So the inference being that if he took the cure, he would go back to looking how he did in the original X-Men comics.
Beast can't get a break, man. They're doing this thing with him in the comics right now where he's going into even another stage.
I know.
Oh, God, he can't get a break.
Yeah. And speaking of not being able to get a break, this poor guy.
This is Scott we're talking about.
Yeah. James Marsden is so good with this scene, and he just, there's a good idea here, like, the Dark Phoenix takes away, or I guess numbs his power in the Dark Phoenix saga. So that's kind of cool that they did that, but I don't know why they did it in the end. And the dialogue here is just terrible. Like, when Jean eventually rises, apparently, she just, the lines are, Jean? Scott? But how?
Yeah.
No.
They should make another film called The Dark Phoenix Rises.
Yeah, there we go.
And then she can, like, hold New York City hostage.
The fire rises.
The fire rises.
By the way, Jason saying the fire rises is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
He loves Bane.
Don't we all?
Yes, we do.
But, so here's, the Phoenix just rose. I was so pumped to see how they were going to do that. And
then it's like, oh, off screen. Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is just...
Is that even the same uniform she was wearing?
I think it is.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a little bit different. I mean, her hair looks really cool. I'll give it that.
Her hair's finally properly red.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just, it's redder because she's the Phoenix now.
Yeah, but I mean, even in the first film, it was kind of more brown than red. Or at least it seemed that way in the light most of the time, but this whole scene is just very insulting to me as a fan. Because, as I said in the X2 commentary, Cyclops is the main character of the X-Men, and apart from Jean, he's the main character of the Dark Phoenix saga. So the fact that they're adapting the Dark Phoenix saga without principal characters it makes no sense. That would be like saying, let's do a Nightfall movie without Azrael. It's kind of like, really?
Yeah, although, if you're going to make that comparison, let's break this down for a second, because I feel like you kind of have a similar thing with this in Rises there, except that it works in Rises in a way it doesn't here, where they do adapt a part of Nightfall, and you don't need Azrael to tell the story they tell there. But with this film, it's like they knew that we wanted them to adapt Dark Phoenix because they sort of set it up in the last one, but because it's not Singer making the movie, they decided they wanted to tell a different story, so they just sort of half-ass it.
Yeah,
forgive my French, but they kind of just sort of do it, but not really. You know what I mean? Like it's not a full blown adaptation, but they sort of pretend like it is. Whereas with something like Nightfall, with Rises, I didn't feel like they were trying to make us think it was Nightfall.
Yeah, you're right. That was a bad comparison. I guess a better comparison would be, let's do The Long Halloween without Harvey Dent.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And, for those who didn't see the X2 commentary, the fact that Hugh Jackman was in he was in about 3 or 4 movies in 2006, and he was the lead actor in all but one of them. And he was also doing The Boy from Oz on stage. So he had the busiest year of his life, and he could still be the lead actor in this film. The fact that people try and say that James Marsden was doing Superman Returns, a film that he was not the lead character in, the fact that people say that that's the reason he was killed off is very misguided. He was killed off because Fox were bringing in all these new characters, and Cyclops was never a character that they properly focused on, so they went...
He really comes off as a character that they just didn't know what to do with.
Yeah. And it's funny that they didn't know what to do with him, because it's there in this comic. I mean...
Yeah. Right. But again, if they were going to do that properly, they couldn't have also done this Cure plot. I don't think you can do Dark Phoenix and Whedon's Astonishing in the same movie.
You can't. And Cyclops is also one of the lead characters in that story. It's like...
They just cut him out completely. But, of course, we can't cut Wolverine out like that because he's Wolverine.
Yeah. And, you know, I know I'm the Cyclops fan, but I mean, it's just, as an X-Men fan, it's just like, this makes no sense to do that. And...
No, I mean, I felt shafted watching this, losing Cyclops like that, and I'm not a giant Cyclops fan, but I recognize that I don't know, his absence hurts the movie too. Like, you spend the whole movie going, well, if only we had Cyclops here, we wouldn't have to deal with Storm kind of being this not very good leader.
And the way they do his death, first time I saw this, I thought he was for sure coming back at the end.
Me too.
I thought, you know, when they had that big fight on Alcatraz, I was like, okay, Scott's gonna show up here, and he's gonna arm the Phoenix down. No.
It didn't compute for me at all. When you get to the end of this and you have the 3 tombstones, and I'm just like, really? They okay. I had no idea. Like it's one thing to do what they do to Professor X, which I also really don't like and have complained about a lot before. But I mean, like, it's quite another to write out a character and then find out, oh yeah, he's dead. He's dead? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Xavier didn't even... Like, we'll get to that scene later, but Xavier isn't moved at all when Wolverine says, I think she killed... He's just like, I warned you. And it's like, well, okay, that's your son, basically, that you're kind of ignoring the death of.
Yeah, well, and Cyclops gets shafted actually in more than one way, right? Like, you and I have talked about this before. It's not just that he's written out of the movie and he's killed off, but also the whole thing that Picard, I can't believe I keep calling him that. The whole thing that Professor X has earlier, where he's like, Cyclops is a damaged man, and I need you to take over, Storm. Like, no.
Yeah, like, you can't sense that something's troubling him. You can't sense that there's, you know, Jean haunting him in his brain. Really, Xavier? Yeah. And this film is not it's nowhere near as smart as the Singer films.
No, it's not. And it's not paced as well either.
Oh, it's terribly paced. I mean, you know, we've got a principal character that's dead, and we don't seem to care. And Jean's back, a character that we thought dead, and everyone's just fine with it. Here we are at the Cure again. It's like, wow, hold on, just take a minute here.
Well, and they're doing things that would give you every indication that they're doing precisely the opposite of what they are doing, given that we had 2 smarter movies in the same franchise. Because if this had been a Singer film, and Cyclops had been taken out like that, and nobody seemed to care. Of course, I don't think he would have done that anyway. I mean, like I don't think that, you know, nobody would have seemed to care, but we would have been like, okay, something's up here. You know, you'd be trying to, it'd be like chess, you know, you'd be trying to see if you can get a couple moves ahead of the director and be like, okay, what's he doing? He's, you know, the wheels are turning, right? No, nothing.
Exactly. Like,
we really are supposed to, at this point in the movie, think Cyclops is dead and not mind that.
Yeah, we're now focusing on characters that don't really mean a whole lot to the story, and one of the characters...
No, and that are new, you can't introduce new characters at the same time as you're killing off old ones, and trying to make us not care. It's weird. It's just weird. I'm baffled by it.
And Warren Worthington apparently goes to the same hairdresser as Pyro.
Yes, that's hilarious. Well, he probably does.
He did, yeah. Although I guess they had to say hair person. I like the casting of Ben Foster. It's a shame that he's not the Angel that we know from the comics at all. The thing I like about Warren Worthington III is that he'll always say his name like that. You know, he's so proud, and he's kind of like, you know, he's this rich billionaire, and he's somewhat of a playboy, and, you know, he has these wings. Like, he's such a cool, calm, and collected guy, and
here he has a dad that he can't be proud of. He has this mutant power that he's ashamed of.
Yeah, he's ashamed of his mutant power. Like, that's just not in Angel's character. I mean, it has been at some points, but I don't know. If you're adapting him on screen, that's not the version of Angel that I would do.
Well, and again, trying to get away from kind of the X-Men fan thing and just looking at this as a movie, it still doesn't really work because we don't spend enough time with him. I mean, really, it's so superficial. It's just like we're supposed to care about him because he's got this jerk father that's doing experiments on him, and he, you know, he has a hard time hiding the fact that he has wings. I mean, like, yeah, that's sad, but we got to spend more time with him or it's hard to care. Yeah. Especially because, again, we've got these other characters that we already care about from the previous films. They're also getting shafted.
Yeah, I often forget that Angel's in this movie, to be honest.
Would you say that if you were, and I say this about other movies like this too, that just too much is packed into them, could the film had gotten away with more of this if it was like half an hour longer?
Well, this film is strangely short.
Because it's really short, and it has too much in it.
It's like an hour 40 long with credits. That's so weird to me. Like,
I think being the third in the franchise, they could have gotten away with even 2:15, 2:20, 2:30.
Especially when this is The Last Stand, they could have made this as long as they wanted. Like, I don't know why they had to. I mean, there's a whole bunch of deleted scenes, but with the exception of the Beast one, none of them kind of. I don't miss any of them.
They don't redeem it at all.
Yeah. So I mean, it's but when I say the Beast one, for those who don't know, Beast quotes Shakespeare, which.
Yeah. Why would you cut that out?
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of understand that it kind of felt out of place in that scene, but it's just so great that I'm like, oh, really? That breaks my heart. You had to cut that.
Yeah, mine too, because you don't ever see Beast do anything like that. You've got one part where he starts to quote someone and then says, oh, you get the point. And that's funny, but it's funnier if you've seen him do it already.
Yeah. Apparently some people don't like the fact that Multiple Man here is a villain in this film. And, well, the thing is, he's only in this film for the part at the camp later where the government think they've surrounded the Brotherhood, and it's just Multiple Man. That's the only reason he's in this film, is for that moment. So, you know, kind of a waste of a character.
Yeah. And he should have been played by Michael Keaton.
Okay.
I just thought that'd be funny to say. Michael Keaton did a movie in the late 90s called Multiplicity.
Oh, okay.
Where he played multiple clones of himself.
I'd be Keaton in this film. Like it a little bit more.
I thought that joke might be too obscure, but I did it anyway.
I mean, most of the people that they bring into the cast of this film are good, with the main exception and notable exception of Vinnie Jones as the Juggernaut. He is a terrible Juggernaut, and quite frankly, not a very good actor. So,
I agree with you. Now, do you think that Magneto is in character or out of character here when he just leaves Mystique there?
A little bit of both for me.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I've always been very much on the fence about it.
Yeah. I mean, I like how McKellen plays it. The way he sort of says, you saved me, but it's just kind of, he's stunned and shocked and kind of disgusted all at the same time. Like his eyes in this scene. And Pyro just being like, wow, that's really cold.
Yeah, that's hardcore, dude.
So, and his line, you know.
She was so beautiful, I love that.
Like, it's kind of in character, but at the same, I don't know. I'm disappointed that they felt they had to take Mystique out of this film. I don't know why they felt the need to do that.
Yeah, it's such a tough call. I've never known what to think of that scene.
And, once again, I get why they took Mystique out, is because they have all these new characters to focus on. Part of the thing that was great about X-Men 2 is, while they introduced new characters, all of them were memorable and all of them had a purpose.
Yeah, and not just a quick script purpose for a single scene. Because even that is that way, right? Where, I mean, she's pretty much taken out... probably the larger reason is what you just said, that we've got too many characters in the film. But then also, the story reason of, well, she's gonna help the government track him down ultimately.
Yeah, and I didn't catch that for my second view.
I'm not sure I even buy that she would do that necessarily.
No, I feel like Mystique would want to prove herself to Magneto again.
Yeah, because I just don't think that is enough to make her, totally go against everything that she believes in. Like you gotta wonder what it would have been like if the roles were reversed, because she believes in his cause so fully. That, like, what would she have done if he got the cure like that?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I'm just saying that, like, I'm not sure that it makes sense that she would just immediately go, no, I'm now completely against his cause. Because I mean, like you said, it's kind of in character. I mean, technically he's still, he's being consistent. She's not a mutant.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, what I was gonna say earlier is that they don't say that that's Mystique doing, giving away where the camp is and all that.
They show it.
They show it on a tiny screen, and because Mystique now looks so different, I didn't get that was her the first time.
Oh, well, I got it because of the line.
Well, they just say, she gave us everything and more, or whatever the line is, and, I'm just...
No, they use the old adage of a woman scorned.
They say that, but they don't say Mystique. I'm just...
Yeah, well, I don't know, I just got it immediately because she was the only woman that was really scorned in the film.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I got it the second time. The first time, I kind of just missed it.
Oh, okay.
And, now, something that I like, actually, is that Hugh Jackman is, with the singlet and the red unbuttoned shirt, he wears that in also the first issue of, Astonishing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I thought that was kind of cool. I don't like this scene.
No, I don't either. I've read that, but it's been a while. I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
This movie's just, it's uncomfortable, Shades.
It is,
That's the best, 42 minutes in, the best way I can describe this is I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah. And, Famke Janssen is, really great with what she's given, and she would have been a great Dark Phoenix with a better script.
Oh, absolutely, she would have.
And of course Hugh Jackman is great as Wolverine. Once again, he's given a crappy script and he turns it into something, he turns a decent performance. More than a decent performance. I mean, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is fantastic. But this scene is just so, it shouldn't be here. Like Wolverine was just so gung-ho about with Jean, and then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I found Scott's glasses and I haven't told a soul about it.
Yeah, that makes him unsympathetic.
Yeah.
And by this point in the franchise, I just don't buy that he would do that.
Yeah.
He should have been fighting her the whole way through that.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, she took off his belt and he was just like, that's weird.
Yeah, I guess, and like, why exactly does the Phoenix persona have the hots for Wolverine?
Yeah, I will.
And do you agree with me that the idea of the metaphorical Phoenix just as a multiple personality disorder thing is nothing short of lame?
It's a good concept, but it just does not work.
I don't even like it conceptually.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it's we can't do Phoenix on the big screen. It's too big. So we'll just do this like metaphorical version. I guess I go to this as a go-to example too often, but it's too Smallville. That's what Smallville would have done with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Smallville's done a couple of things like this.
Kind of like that. Like it's too big for screen, so we'll do the metaphorical version. My favorite example being, we can't do Death of Superman, but we've got Doomsday, so we'll do a metaphorical death where he'll pretend to not be Clark Kent anymore, and then we'll have him wear a black shirt to represent the death of the Clark Kent character, and they only do that for like 2 episodes. It's like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think. Now, I don't know. They could have won me over on the idea, but I can't even, use my imagination and get excited about it.
Well, the way it looked in X-Men 2 was that her powers were kind of getting stronger. And I'm cool with that being, the whole talk at the end of X-Men 2 of another stage of human evolution. It's like, evolution leaps forward. That's the line. So that is cool. And I don't blame them for not doing the Shi'ar and the M'Krong crystal and all that. I don't blame them for not doing that, because... No,
me neither, but I don't like this kind of retconned origin thing for her, where, again, it's kind of Spider-Man 3, right? Where it's like, we're gonna say that this thing has been there the whole time, that there's been really no kind of hinting at. We obviously didn't have this idea before. I don't like the idea that Jean started off with multiple personality disorder and Professor X had to kind of lie to everybody and keep it at bay. I don't like that.
I don't like that, because it kind of makes Professor Xavier seem pretty unsympathetic as well. He's, I get why he did it, but and Xavier has sort of done things like that in the comics, he did that with Rogue and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's been a manipulative character before, but he also hasn't gotten enough screen time in X1 and X2 to earn it.
Yeah, and he also just wheeled past his brother from the comics, so, I guess they're not related in this universe.
I guess not.
I mean, Juggernaut is wrong on a whole bunch of levels, but, he's not a mutant in the comics, and he is here, and, like I said with Deathstrike and X-Men 2, I'm okay with them making characters that aren't mutants in this film, but it's, the fact that Juggernaut, they take him out by him, running into a wall later. I'm just like, wow, the unstoppable Juggernaut, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, the thing is, I am fine with totally changing a character if you can win me over with it. I'm not so in love with source material on anything that I can't allow myself to be won over. But when you have something like Juggernaut in this movie, and there's a lot of other things like this in this film, where it's like, well, he's just in this movie because he's a name that people recognize. It's almost like they go out of their way to make him far less interesting, or really not interesting at all in my mind, than what was in the comics. So I mean, they could have had a mutant Juggernaut and done something with him, but the thing is, the real Juggernaut has such an interesting background that you've got to really try really hard to make it more interesting. And clearly that's not what they're doing here. They just put him in this film because we've heard of him.
Yeah. He's another mutant for the X-Men to fight. And, if they were going to have any of the new Brotherhood members in this scene with the fight with Storm and Wolverine, I would have had Multiple Man be one of them. That would have looked great. Decided not to do that. Instead, Storm takes out, Mr. Porcupine and, Aqua.
That should have been his mutant name, Mr. Porcupine.
Yes. Now, I've also wondered why exactly Jean goes back to her childhood home.
I have no idea.
I mean,
and why they just know that she's going to go there, or did they use Cerebro? I wasn't paying attention.
They didn't. Well, Cerebro's been destroyed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
forgot.
So, Anyway, they do that in the Dark Phoenix saga in the comics, but that's the only reason why it's here, is because it's something from the comics, so they go, ah ha ha, look at us. And why does Halle Berry have hair like she did in Catwoman in this film, except white?
That's a good question too.
Let's body of that film.
I guess that was the year before this, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years before.
No, 2 years before. Yeah, that was summer of 04.
Yeah, this was 06.
Well, then she had plenty of time to grow it out.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Halle Berry often has short hair, but I think why does she have short hair? Like, Beast says that thing, earlier about, oh, you too, with her hair.
Yeah. Why are they, and also, why are they making such a freaking big deal out of the fact that she has different hair?
Yeah, like, people complain about Wolverine's jacket getting an origin in Origins, but, I don't know, them focusing on Storm's hair changing, kind of ticks me off more.
Well, my only problem with the jacket in Origins is that he loses it and then loses his memory, so there's no reason he would ever have it again.
Yeah, it's also a very different jacket to the one we see here, but, anyway.
Oh, is it?
Well, I actually might be similar to the one in X-Men 1, but...
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is that I think it's the same jacket as the one in X-Men 1, and he, like, loses it and loses his memory.
Yeah, it stays on Gambit's plane as he flies away, but...
That's hilarious. Anyway, I do think that the effects in this scene are really cool looking.
Yeah, the special effects in this movie are very good. I like the effect that's going on at the moment with the fact that his clothes are ripping away, like Xavier's clothes are kind of fraying away. It's a very cool effect, and especially when everything kind of freezes or moves very slowly.
That's great stuff. But again, this is a very dramatic, heart-wrenching scene that the movie has not earned.
Yeah.
In my mind. And it becomes a lot worse because very shortly after this, we're supposed to appreciate kind of a, tender comedic moment. Ugh.
This looks so cool. I like, the effect on Jean's eyes as well.
And the smile that Patrick Stewart gives just before Xavier disintegrates is nothing short of terrifying.
I know, it's very haunting. I was editing I think you commented on the teaser I did for this, but I did an Arkham Asylum trailer the other day, or I uploaded it anyway.
Oh, cool! I have to go watch that because I really liked your teaser for that.
Thank you. And I think you'll be happy to see who I use as Hugo Strange.
Ooh, fun! I can't wait. Don't tell me.
Okay. But yeah.
But I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I just thought, I don't want to give it away, but Patrick Stewart smiles hauntingly in other things as well. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, okay. I do not buy Wolverine breaking down and crying here. I'm sorry. I do not buy.
Oh, you don't? I'm kind of okay with it.
I'm just like, how long have you known Xavier exactly? And I don't know, I get that he would be upset, but he's, I don't know. It feels out of character for me. Wolverine doesn't show that sort of emotion to anyone,
Well, I suppose you're right. What always bothered me more was just the last conversation they have together, and because I felt like it was kind of out of place where Professor X is like, I don't have to explain myself, least of all to you, and I'm like, I don't know, man. What you did was pretty manipulative. I think you do, and
someone who's the best there is at what he does, and what he does is murder people, but. He doesn't have to explain himself in some ways, but...
Oh, well, okay. I guess you're right there, too.
That's not something Xavier would say. That's something that, I don't know. Xavier had more dignity than to say that. Because Xavier's basically judging Wolverine at that point.
Yeah.
And that's
right.
Not in his character at all.
Well, he's just turning things around on him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, I guess I did this terrible thing, but you're Wolverine. Like, yeah, but he didn't do that.
When you look at it, Wolverine really only hurts bad people.
Right.
And Xavier manipulated the mind of an innocent little girl, but,
Well, and the thing is, I'm not going to say I have no sympathy for, what Xavier does with her, if we're supposed to buy this idea that, she had this other personality that was, really scary and would kind of go carry on people. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can kind of see why he would why he felt like he had to do that. I think what's more the problem is that he doesn't tell anybody.
The thing that doesn't work for me is that under Xavier's tutelage, I feel like he could have helped her take that, huge power and use
too much of a quick fix.
Yeah, like, I don't know why he's just like, she has all this power, I must contain it. It's like, okay, you don't know what good she could have done with that power, but alright.
I might be going too far here. Maybe this doesn't bother other people as much as it does me, but this right here is actually the biggest insult for me in this whole movie. The fact that we just saw Xavier die, and we're supposed to care about a love triangle.
Yeah, I know.
I can't deal with it. And I've always been pretty anti-love triangle. I'm not saying love triangles can't be done well, but they're traditionally done. They're not traditionally, but they're hard to do. 8 times out of 10, they're bad. And we're supposed to immediately care that, Bobby's being nice to this girl, and then it's gonna make Rogue go off and do something stupid. I don't care. Xavier just died.
It's not even a good attempt at a love triangle, because it's hardly even a love triangle. He's just helping out a friend.
Yeah. I don't think you can even say that they're sort of, that they're even considering, cheating on her.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a deleted scene where they kiss, and thankfully they took that out.
Oh, thankfully.
Because that makes Bobby just look like the biggest, dick well.
Absolutely.
It's, I really like Kitty, and I'm also a big fan of Bobby. So it's cool that these two characters, they were able to help each other out in this, horrible time. It's the thing that with Rogue that ticks me off. She's just like, I'm gonna go take the cure now, forgetting everything I've learned in the first 2 films.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe you're right. Maybe that scene happening right after Xavier's death would have been fine if they just didn't have the Rogue part.
Yeah.
Because he's getting hurt through a tough time, and it does have to do with losing a mentor. So, that's okay.
The scene before that was Kitty crying, and, Bobby, came to comfort her. So, it's kind of like in, the final the second last Harry Potter film, where, there's that scene where Hermione and Harry, have that dance sort of thing.
Yes.
It's just they're getting their minds off of something horrific, but tougher times. But, so I'm okay with the scene, but the aftermath with Rogue really bothers me.
I don't like that Wolverine isn't able to talk her out of it.
I hate the fact that he's okay with her taking the cure. Because I've been rewatching the animated series this week because it's the 20th anniversary of the animated series.
Oh, wow. I feel old.
And
goodness.
Watching it, and the whole thing, when they introduced the cure in that, and obviously it's a different cure to this one, but, Rogue is considering taking it, and Xavier's sort of talking to them he's basically on the screen saying, there's a scientist over here who's developed a cure, and Cyclops says, well, mutants might take the opportunity to become normal. And Wolverine goes, yeah, who? No deserters in this crowd, and you see Rogue to be sad. The fact that he does the exact opposite here, and is like, yeah, do what you want to do, I'm not your father. It's like, okay.
Oh, I don't really buy that either. I would have expected Wolverine to remind her. I mean, I can kind of buy him saying something like, well, it's your life, you do what you want to, but let me explain to you why you're being an idiot before you go do this idiotic thing. And I mean, I can see why because I know some people actually, believe it or not, like Rogue in this taking the cure because they feel like, her power is more of a curse than anything, so it makes sense that she would want to. But had I been Wolverine, I would have reminded her that I, as Wolverine, would be dead if it weren't for her. Well, from the first film, her power is somewhat of a curse, but she's also been invaluable.
She would be dead.
Well, so would he though.
How?
Right? At the end?
Well, he gives her, his power and she comes back from the dead.
Oh, okay, that's right.
But I mean, even so, I mean, she would be dead if it weren't for her power. And Wolverine doing what he did. So, like,
well, yeah, but also thinking about it that way, she wouldn't really, because she also would never have been in that situation, because she was in that situation because of her power in the first place.
Yeah.
So I guess there's that. I don't know, but I still feel like she's learned over the course of these movies that there's a place for her power, and that, you know, she's having to make some unfortunate sacrifices, but maybe it's for the best that she has it.
The way she stopped Pyro in the second film, you know.
Right.
To use her, she was okay with using her power to lives. That's the thing. And now it's like, she's forgotten everything she learned. The big character arc that she went through in the first film is now meaningless.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And forgive me for forgetting about that, because there's so much power transfer and stuff that goes on in that movie. I was remembering it a little bit wrong, but yeah, I kind of feel like this is her family now, and I feel like she's abandoning her family.
Yeah. It feels very out of character for Beast to say, you know, I think that we should probably close the school now that Xavier's gone.
I don't get that. I never understood him saying that.
Beast would not say that. And I like how Bobby's just like, yeah, not all of us have places to go, Beast.
Yeah.
And Beast smiles there like, yeah, you're right. I was wrong. It's like, okay.
How did you say that in the first place? Yeah, rookie kinds of mistakes going on there.
Yeah. You know, Zach Penn co-wrote this film, and he also co-wrote The Avengers. That amazes me.
It drives me crazy when I see really, really great writers on projects that I don't think worked at all.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, how did that happen?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Zach Penn also worked on X-Men 2. And there was Colossus's one line okay, my theory is that he's actually taking Xavier's TV since he won't need it anymore.
He just stole Xavier. Yeah, why does he have a TV? It is funny though.
Yeah.
Colossus one-arming this, like, 38-inch TV.
Like, oh yeah, she just left. I don't have a Russian accent.
But I've got Xavier's TV.
I love Colossus, and I've always, you know, once again, rewatching the animated series recently, like, his lines in that show. Yana! My family! And it's like...
My family!
He's so cool, and, you know, he's nobody in these films. He's that metal guy, if you don't know comics.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, that never bugged me that much. I mean, you can't give everybody a character arc.
Definitely not, but the fact that he's just there he's just there, you know. He's there. What else can I say? There's nothing to him except that he's currently on screen, not right now, but that he's...
Yeah, but I mean, he's a cameo like he was in the first film. I mean, I guess, but I guess they do, don't they actually give him a suit in this?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay, well, you're right about that. But, you know, that's a good point.
He's one of the...
No, that's a good point.
He takes a stand. Like, that's part of the...
If he had just... Yeah, you're right. If he had just not been anything else in this film and was just a cameo, you wouldn't care.
And it's the sort of thing where I'm cool with the X-Men taking a whole bunch of characters that weren't really focused on and making them part of the battle if they actually did that. They just take one. Or they just take two with Kitty and Colossus. If they said to their older students, apparently, you know, the only older students that they have are Colossus and Kitty.
Right.
Like 6 or something. You know, if they went to all of their mutants and said, we need to make a stand for the good of our kind, make a last stand, I'd be okay with it. Instead, it's just like, yeah, there's only 6 of us, Logan. Yeah, we're outnumbered, Bobby. Okay. If you have an entire school if you want.
Yeah, but we don't want to cause a schism, Shades.
Well, they don't want to do that.
If we start using kids, Wolverine might freak out.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Wolverine,
No, I'm not saying that made sense. I'm making fun of it.
Oh, I know. I hate Schism. But I like Magneto on the TV here. Your streets will not be safe. Your cities will not be safe. You will not
be, wait for it, safe.
He delivers it so good.
Oh yeah, I love it. I just love the way he says safe. I don't know why. You will not be safe.
Here's another character from the comics that they just shoehorned in here. Trask.
Who is that?
That's Trask. The guy.
Is that Trask?
Yeah, the guy who created the Sentinels, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so we got the guy who created the Sentinels in the movie that had a Sentinel head that, as far as we know, anybody in the school could have just programmed and made up.
Now, I'm not saying he has to look like his comic book character, but he doesn't resemble Trask of the comics at all.
Well, I don't care about that, but what's he doing in this movie if there's no Sentinels?
I mean, like, if you didn't hear the president say Trask just now, you'd have no idea it was him.
Well, that's true. Maybe that's just kind of a nod thing. But the thing is, when you shoehorn so many characters in, the nods become more meaningless because you got kind of information overload at this point if you're a fan and you've heard of these characters.
Yeah.
I also have a tough time buying that that guy's parents would have named him Bolivar.
That's true, yeah.
Pretty sure that wouldn't have been that guy's first name.
And didn't Pyro just blow up a cure facility? Is that just a different one?
That's a really good point. In the previous scene.
Yeah, because I could have sworn they were the same people rioting. But
I want to know how many of the people rioting are humans and how many are mutants, because I'm pretty sure if most of them were mutants, they probably could, combine their powers and pretty easily just stop the cure from being delivered. I mean, unless they're just trying to pick it, peacefully. But I have a hard time. I don't know. I guess I had this in the cartoon show too, where they'd have a bunch of mutants picketing. So it was always weird to me, where I had a hard time imagining that 4 or 5 of them wouldn't come out and just start using their powers.
Yeah, and also none of those mutants rioting or lining up for the cure look any different. They just look like normal humans.
None of them.
It's like, well, the people who want the cure should be the ones who look kind of weird.
Or at least a lot of them. Unless they've got powers like rogues that just make it difficult to live a regular life. I mean, I get that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, I guess they all have rogues' power.
Yes, they all have rogues' power.
I didn't see any of them wearing, like, red sunglasses or anything. So.
If they all touched each other, they would all steal each other's life forces and fall down. Simultaneously.
Now, this is a great action scene. But Wolverine is actually just killing everybody right now. He slices this dude's face coming up, and boom.
Yeah, but he did that next too.
He did, but there were people that were taking over the school, threatening the lives of children. Wolverine just attacks these people.
That's a good point.
I'm just like, why are you doing this exactly? You're looking for Jean, so I must kill everyone.
Because I have claws and these people have body parts.
And yes. And the guy he just killed is credited as Spike. I guess he's Spike from X-Men Evolution.
Weird.
That's just weird. I guess no relation to Storm in this universe, but anyway.
I also have to say, and this is a totally silly thing to mention, but he's got some blood coming from his stomach there, right?
Yeah.
But he just stabbed the guy with his claws, and his claws don't have any blood on them.
And there's never any blood on his claws. It's weird.
But I would be okay with it if there's just no blood anywhere. But it's sort of weird that we'll have someplace in the same scene.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's weird.
We also get, after, in the next scene when, Magneto throws Wolverine into a bunch of trees, when he falls down, he's like covered in blood and just scarred and just looks like hell. And, yeah, so we have that for a split second. So.
Yeah.
The opening of the film with Angel. It's not like there's no blood in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not that worried about continuity of the previous films. We're like, well, we didn't have blood on him in the other ones. Well, there's a lot of things we didn't have in the other films that are in this film.
Yeah.
Thematically, I like the idea of Magneto, trying to control the Phoenix. I think that's one of the ideas that does really work in this.
Okay. You know what my problem is with that, though?
Okay, go ahead.
he just saw, or not just, but he saw the Phoenix kill the other most powerful mutant in the Earth.
No, that is a huge problem. But you've got contrasting philosophies, and you've got the idea that, well, Professor X couldn't tame her, but I can, and we can do it my way.
I just don't buy that Magneto would be like, if Xavier couldn't do it, then I don't know. His mentality is Xavier couldn't do it, but I can. And part of the reason Xavier couldn't do it was because, like, Magneto was egging her on by saying, I think you want to give her the cure.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Yeah.
It's good in concept, but wrong.
Yeah, but that's why I said thematically. I like the idea of the contrasting philosophies, and that he overconfidently thinks, well, if only we had done it my way in the first place, Charles, we wouldn't be at this place, and you wouldn't have had to have sucked that personality down into her head like you did years ago.
You're right. Yeah, it definitely works on paper.
On paper, yeah, and that's all I meant. No, I was always, and I think I might have even mentioned this when I reviewed it, I was always bugged by the fact that, like she kills Xavier, and he doesn't, like, immediately think, man, I don't know about this now.
Yeah, he just...
he should have had more pause, I think.
Yeah, he just goes over to her and is like, oh, my dear, and just takes her away. And it's like...
And again, if we spent more time with them and fleshed that out, I could be made to believe it. I could have been convinced that maybe it's just, well, he of course doesn't like that she murdered Xavier, but she's not responsible for her actions because of where she is mentally.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of the problem with this movie is just things aren't discussed like that.
Yeah, they kind of, I guess.
There's so much glossing over.
Yeah, they expect people to fill in the blanks, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's tough.
Yeah.
To get through that, and I it's this weird pit we fall in with third movies a lot of the time. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, the first two films were so successful that it's like, let's jam as much as we can. Like I said in the other in X2, the Spider-Man trilogy and the X-Men trilogy parallel in some of the most interesting ways.
Yeah,
and yeah, this is one of them. Like them jamming way too much into the film and not really knowing what the fans want. And I think
they should have put Sandman and Venom in this movie also.
Yeah, that would have worked.
Yeah.
They should have had Harry Osborn and yeah, let's just throw as many X-Men characters as we can into this. And this is not green screen at all.
Oh, you're right. That looks terrible.
Yeah.
I never noticed that. And it's one of those things too where doesn't it feel like it's like, well, we're only gonna linger on this for 3 seconds. Maybe nobody will notice.
Yeah. I mean, I also hate Juggernaut's line there. He just has the stupidest lines, let alone...
But I don't swim?
Yeah. The earlier as well with, keeps my face pretty and, you better let me out of here. I need to pee. It's like, okay, Juggernaut, would you be serious for a moment?
Besides, if he got enough momentum up, he wouldn't have to swim.
Yes.
Because nothing can stop the Juggernaut. Just put an air mask on his face and let him run underwater.
Yeah. I also guess that... Okay, actually, no, I want to say this first, because...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have too much to say. But the X-Men are going to now fly the Blackbird to San Francisco, and they're in Westchester. And... Okay, I've been on a flight from San Francisco to New York.
Kitty's the Pink Ranger!
Yeah, they actually all have like a little,
Yeah, they've got little colors on their costumes, like how, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I forgot about that. Like how totally cliche could we possibly get? Let's give the young girl a pink uniform. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like Wolverine has yellow, and, Iceman has kind of like an icy...
Blue, yeah.
Colossus is just black, apparently. So, but yeah, okay, so they're going to go to San Francisco when Magneto is already there, about to move the bridge, and they make it in time. How?
Oh, good. Yeah. I don't know.
Apparently, you know, when that baby hits 88 miles per hour. That's the power of love.
It's both stealthy and it can tesseract.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like they're flying extremely fast right now.
No, they're sort of just flying. Well, they're tesseracting. You just can't tell.
Yeah, I guess. I I don't get what this moment's about. Like, the kiddies all know.
Look at each other.
And then we cut.
To Colossus. He's like, why am I even in this film?
Colossus is just like, I guess I'm joining these guys on this mission.
And then Beast is like, oh man, these are children. I should suddenly turn into Wolverine and Schism.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
These kids.
I want to take this moment to pause for a minute and just say that, like, I knew I didn't care for this film. I've seen it several times, of course, and I've reviewed it and stuff, but it's been a while, and I am surprised by how much I am not enjoying this.
Yeah.
Shades.
So am I, actually.
Like, I don't know what it is, but, like, I feel like this whole commentary so far has just been us, like, it's just been a total complaining session. Like, I need some levity right now, you know? I need to do something to let up a little bit, cause, like, it's making my stomach hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to just talk about the negatives, but it's a little hard when...
No, it is, yeah.
You know, like...
We do this for fun, but man, this is hurting me a little bit. This is tough.
Here's the thing, I don't like having to hate this movie. I'm an X-Men fan. I want there to be good X-Men movies. I don't take pride in the fact that I rip this movie to shreds all the time. You know, it's like...
No, but then just when you want to come up with some nice things to say, it gives you another reason to be angry.
Yeah, like, why do we have to focus on that family that are trapped in the car?
Yeah. It's like, they're not the only ones, are they?
Yeah, and that gag when she locks the door later. Ugh. Ugh.
I was wondering how they did that with his mouth. Like did they just put like a wind thing in front of his face? Probably.
He can just do that with his face. Like
that would be amazing.
Like earlier, you know, when the Fiend Xavier, like he was able to just, you know, act like there was a wind machine in front of his face.
Could you imagine if they got Ian McKellen to go to a convention and some fan was like, could you do that thing with your face that you did in X3 on the bridge?
You do that thing with your face? Of course I can.
Of course.
I like the fact that Alcatraz was used. I think that's pretty cool. I'm just grasping at straws of something.
I don't understand why he had to move the bridge.
Once again, because that's something that's in the comics.
Right, but it doesn't make any practical sense here, does it?
No, not at all.
Because, like, couldn't he just... He doesn't have so many mutants in his Brotherhood that he couldn't just put them all on a sailboat and float them over.
Yeah, why didn't he, like, hijack a plane or something?
Or anything, or just get a very large piece of metal and put everyone on it and float them over.
Yeah, like just...
Your metallic floating powers.
Apparently because Charles liked to build bridges, he was like...
Yeah, so he does this whole thing just for a one-liner? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. And the president's just like, what? Why?
Well, he's like me. He's like, why did he do that?
And the sun is apparently able to set in the time span of 20 seconds.
Oh, I know.
Oh. That scene.
She locked the door.
Once again, it's like, okay, there's always comedy in X-Men films. Like, the X-Men, there are funny X-Men characters. But this is a film that's meant to be about something kind of noble, and let's throw in all these silly gags.
I don't know. Out of context, I kind of like that gag.
Well, okay. I
don't know. I don't hate it.
I don't know. It's just like, oh, he moved the bridge, so let's do something funny, like she locks the door. I don't know. I like how all these mutants can fly.
Yeah. They're all on wires. And, well, it's like that line in front of the Cure building where they all have Rogue's powers. Like, they just keep finding these pockets of people that all have the same ability.
Yeah, and I hate the notion of the pawns will go first, because what exactly is Magneto's plan here? Like, I have Jean for some reason, who could just disintegrate the Cure building in a second.
Like all at once. And apparently you know what, you're right, he's not consistent right here at all, is he? Because, you know, all of a sudden his philosophy goes a bit out the window.
Yeah.
When he's just cool with all these mutants getting hit with the Cure, right?
Yeah.
Okay with you? What happened to that thing in the first movie where you were like, well, if we can't get along, we'll just make everybody mutants?
Yeah. Instead it's just like, oh, they've learned. And
oh, well, the pawns will go first because I like to play chess.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's just like, I could sort of understand that if he had any kind of feelings about it.
It's like that line from the How X-Men First Class should have ended of, and sometimes we play chess with real people's lives in the balance. It doesn't seem like that would help your cause at all.
Like, why would anybody follow you at that point?
Yeah. Okay, now I've been on a plane from New York to San Francisco. It's not a short flight. How are the X-Men already there? And how did they just go invisible?
Yeah. That didn't used to have that.
Like, in X-Men 1, like, Cyclops goes, storm some cover, please. So they, you know...
And he says that, like, the sensors can't track them, but that doesn't mean that they have a cloaking device.
Yeah. She's able to create a whole bunch of, like, fog and stuff, so, you know, it kind of covers up the Blackbird, which isn't called the Blackbird in this for some reason.
See, if they had already had the notion in this film, because I realize I'm saying this, you know, in retrospect after First Class, but if they already had the notion in this that Beast was like a scientific genius, they could have just had him install it.
Yeah. Like...
That would have worked.
You know, not to talk about First Class too much, but Beast
right.
built the Blackbird in First Class.
Yeah, he did.
That is so silly to me.
Well, he built everything, because you just gotta have that one scientific genius that can build everything. So he built that, he built Cerebro without having any actual understanding. I don't know how he could have known anything about telepathy when he built Cerebro, but okay.
Oh, yeah. That bothers me, but... I like that little, moment earlier. This is a comedy thing that I like where, Kitty and Bobby, you know, come back up from underground and Bobby says, don't ever do that again. That does make me laugh. Here we go. They're taking a stand, because that's what they got to do in this film.
Shades, I know you don't like this movie, and I don't really like this movie, but we gotta hold this line.
Hold this line.
We gotta get through this commentary, and we're gonna hold this line. Okay, so, I'm sorry, I gotta say this real quick. Do you want to know how long we've been talking?
How long?
1 hour and 23 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Don't you feel like we're at about the end of the movie?
Yep. We're in the third act.
We're in the third act. We're well into the third act.
Yeah.
We are in the scene, elongated as it is, but we are in the scene where Magneto will lose his powers.
Yes.
And we've been talking about this for 1 hour and 23 minutes.
Well, X-Men 3, ladies and gentlemen.
So at the very least, this might be one of the shortest commentaries anybody will have to sit through.
Yeah.
That we'll do.
And wow, talking about going after a fly with a bazooka. Let's...
Juggernaut, I need you to go in and kill a guy that couldn't possibly match you. Ready, go.
Yeah. I do like the fact that he's chasing Kitty. It does give Kitty something to do, and I'm such a big Kitty Pryde fan, and like I said, I really love Ellen Page as an actress, and I love her in the role. When I saw Inception, I went, wow.
Oh, she's great in that.
Yeah, she could have been a great Kitty Pryde.
I remember sitting through half of Inception trying to remember where I saw her. I know I've seen her in something. Oh yeah, that was Kitty Pryde. That a really unmemorable Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
There's the Juggernaut line.
Okay, I will say, I actually like that dub cartoon. I think it's funny.
Oh, it's hilarious, yeah.
And also, if Juggernaut's a mutant, he's just like running through tubs of the Cure. That's smart. Don't let any of that get on you.
Yeah, that's silly. Also, why? Okay, I don't understand his power actually. If he's a mutant,
Yeah, neither do I. And
it actually doesn't make any sense. Why does he need a helmet?
because it keeps his face pretty.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, at least we had an explanation, Shades.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
That was being facetious, Shades.
And that Psylocke? That is
Psylocke? Wait, that's who that's supposed to be?
the girl with the purple hair. Yep.
Okay, at the risk of doing the thing I always do again, that's like if Smallville did Psylocke.
Yeah. I mean, not that I'm like this huge Psylocke fan, but I mean...
No, but I like Psylocke. I don't like them doing that to her.
No, neither do I. She has a completely different power. She looks nothing like the character.
Can I mention real quick, because we talked over her death and we didn't even mention the character hardly at all, but the female Indian scientist.
Vader Pal.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of that actress, but she's a recurring character in a season of 24, and she's actually a really good actress.
She is, yeah. She was in Flash Forward, and I was like, oh, it's Dr. Rao.
Oh, I didn't see her in that.
Yeah.
She's a great actress.
She's got a very long, unusual name, I'm pretty sure, so I can't remember it, but yeah. I also like, I will say I like the notion of Leech being the source of the cure. I think that's a cool idea. You know, and...
It wasn't even a character I was aware of before this film.
Oh, really?
Doesn't really mean anything to me, but yeah.
He's one of the Morlocks, and...
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay.
We have a whole bunch of Morlocks in this film, and...
That aren't called Morlocks or anything.
Yeah. And the guy who's you know, as I'm gonna dub him, Mr. Porcupine, or...
Mr. Porcupine!
I like the way he delivers this line. It's just like, so...
We look like it would have been better if he was wearing his spikes when he said that. he shot out his spikes and said, "Do we look like we need your help?" Well, yes, because you look stupid, dude. Maybe that's his opportunity for change, where he goes, well, okay, so you've got mutants like this idiot with these spikes in his face where he just looks stupid, and then my son looks cool because he has wings. Therefore, I'm okay now with mutants as long as they don't have spikes in their face.
Yeah, and that was Angel's big contribution to the film, saving his father.
Saving his father.
Take a stand, yeah. The name of this film doesn't make a whole lot of sense, in my opinion. The Last Stand. Like, and they kinda had, and they still do have plans for an X-Men 4. It's like, that's the name of a final X-Men film.
Yeah, you're not gonna make any more.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if it's we basically had a couple of other stands already, right? I mean, like, they're kind of doing the silly war movie motif here, but it's like, if this were the last stand, but you were going to make more X-Men movies, they would have to thematically be something other than mutant rights at that point.
Yeah, and one of the taglines for X-Men 2 was, Stand United. It's like,
Wow.
So, there you go. They had a very short list of names of what to call this film. It's like, let's just use something that we kind of hinted at in the second film. So. Well,
I think X2 was actually the official title was X-Men United, I think.
Yeah, I didn't talk about this in the commentary. I hate the name X2 X-Men United. That's just such a silly name.
No, I mean, if they wanted to call it X2, they should have just owned it.
Yeah, they should have.
Because I like the idea that X-Men was such a popular movie and people know it so well that you don't even have to put X-Men in the title. You just call it X2, everybody will go.
That bothers me a little bit.
Oh, I'm fine with it.
I just, if they were gonna call it X2, this one should have been X3.
No, I think so too. That's my problem with this film title. Yeah.
I'd rather them have called X-Men 2 either, because, okay, the problem is it's different on all of the posters. Some of the posters just say X2, say X-Men 2. The beginning of the film says X2. I have X-Men on DVD, X-Men 2 on DVD signed by Hugh Jackman, actually.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. And there it says X-Men 2. Why is it X2 X-Men United? Where does that even come from?
Where does it happen? Well, and I think there were teaser posters for X3 that just said X3.
Yeah, well, they had, like, X with the claws over it. So it was X3. And everywhere else, it's X-Men The Last Stand. So it bothers me how they name these films, because it's not consistent at all.
Because heaven forbid we missed that opportunity to put 3 claws on the third film, right?
Yeah, well, they're doing that with, like, the third season of Game of Thrones at the moment. I'm just like, Wolverine's coming.
Oh, I didn't realize Hugh Jackman was going to guest star in that. I do like Iceman all icy, finally.
Oh, me too. That's great. I love that. And I love how they did it with Pyro kind of frying him, and he kind of crystallizes almost. That's really cool.
Oh, and there's the payoff for the fastball special, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Except then he falls down.
And big continuity error here. He was facing the other way, but where he torches him by spinning him around. But really? Beast did it?
Okay, what's your problem with that exactly?
Beast is a new. I just, it bothers me that it was a character that didn't have, like, a big beef with Magneto. And it bothers me that it was Beast that did it when I believe that he would be against curing other mutants involuntarily.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I have a problem that Wolverine is so fine with it as well. And Storm, who was so against it earlier in the film. Now she's just like, yeah, we should do it to Magneto. He's a mutant that deserves it. Like, talk about your double standards.
Yeah, why haven't we tried to do that to Jean yet, if that's the case?
Yeah, and, because Storm had this big speech earlier in the film about, there's nothing wrong with any of us. So, apparently...
any of us. Okay, well, I guess that's a blanket statement she shouldn't have said.
Yeah, I'm just, and also...
I think it would have been really cool if he had gotten cured accidentally.
That would have been cool. I would have been cool if Jean had done it.
Well, the problem, though, is that they're kind of halfway doing Phoenix, so they have to kill her.
Yeah, I know. I mean, also, she just destroyed all the people firing the cure at her, as if people weren't trying to do that earlier.
I don't get it. Yeah, why does she just stand there? And I mean, the whole movie, the idea has been that she can't control herself. And I mean, she's been pretty calm and collected up to this point.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't need there to be, like, a giant fire bird in the background. And I like what the effect that they give. Magneto's line makes no sense there.
Yeah, what have I done? Boy, I had no idea this was gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, you mean I couldn't? Who'd have thunk it?
And also, she hasn't killed any mutants yet. She just killed a bunch of humans, right?
Yeah.
So, what have I done? I'm causing much property damage.
Yes.
And killed human beings, which I was totally cool with.
And there goes...
I don't get it.
And there goes Psylocke and the other two.
Oh, boy. She just took out 3 mutants. She just took out Psylocke.
I can only presume that she also is taking out Juggernaut as we speak as well.
Well, that's okay.
Well, I'm fine with it, but I'm just like...
Now, do you agree that Wolverine is way too powerful?
Not only do I agree, but I hate it, because he spent, a whole bunch of time dead after Rogue took his powers. He spent a whole bunch of time, like he spent a couple of minutes dead after being shot in the skull in X-Men 2. He's able to heal at will right now.
You know, and when I complained about that when I reviewed it, I had at least one person who left a comment and said, well, maybe he's gotten more powerful over the 3 films. And I'm like, but he's like 100 years old.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess we don't really get that until the film after this. I don't guess we really know how old he is.
Yeah.
But still, like, we know that he's been around a long time.
It's also...
So I don't know what would have made him get more powerful over just these 3 films.
I guess they didn't really read Whedon's run on Astonishing as well, because Wolverine takes a long time to heal when Whedon's writing him, so I guess they half-read that story. I guess Wolverine's other superpower as well is that he has the same ability as the Incredible Hulk, not to lose his pants.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with that, and it's PG.
That's a good point, though.
But it is funny. This just, really? Okay. I guess Phoenix is dead now.
I don't know why that would kill her.
Yeah, neither do I.
Well, it seems like at this point she's too powerful for that. If she's able to do all this stuff she's doing in the background here, I don't get why she couldn't have just deflected the claws. Like, I just don't get it.
Well, I guess Jean kind of took over for a couple of seconds, so Logan had his chance. But
yeah, there's that. I'm sorry we're talking over this, and I gotta say, I don't know this movie as well as I know X-Men and X2. So if it's coming off like I don't know this movie as well, it's because that's true. I forgot about that part. So well, then I guess that's okay. I mean, like...
It just doesn't make sense that Logan isn't disintegrated. It just doesn't.
No, that doesn't make sense. But I buy that he could kill her right there.
They also... I can't remember if they did that in the comics as well, because I haven't read Dark Phoenix Saga in a while, but I know in the animated show, Jean took control for just a second, and Wolverine's about to slice her up, and she says, "Do it while I have control." And he's like, "I can't!" Yeah. This hurts.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the gravestones, yeah.
Alright. This kills me. And so does this. This is just lame. What's Rogue doing here? Like, there's an alternate scene where she says, "I couldn't," and the screenwriters say, "Well, we didn't choose that scene because that wouldn't explain where she was all this time." But this film.
Okay, you cut out there for a second. So you're saying that there's an alternate scene where she didn't take the cure?
Yeah, there's an alternate scene where it's just that scene, and
but she says, "I couldn't take it."
Yeah. And just while it's on screen right now, Leech is going to the school.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird, because anybody he sits next to isn't going to have their powers.
Yeah. I mean...
Okay.
Yeah, that's dumb. I like that Wolverine calls Beast Furball here. I'm grasping at straws for things that I like now, but...
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, I guess I remembered liking more things about this.
Yeah, I like how he's, X-Men Mansion is also, Luthor Mansion and Queen Mansion.
Yeah, it's now the Queen Mansion.
Yeah.
Boy, if you need a mansion in a superhero thing, that's where you go.
Yeah, it's so funny to me. Let's just shoot it slightly differently so no one realizes it's Xavier's School for the Gifted.
Well, it does look a lot different here than it does between Smallville and Arrow, where between those two shows, it just looks like exactly the same building.
Oh, yeah. That's not
the way they shoot it.
Attempt to make it look different.
No, they might as well have just taken stock footage from Smallville and put it in their show.
Yeah. It's also this here, Angel flying around. I listened to the commentary of this film with Brett Ratner, and he started talking about how, mutants are more accepted into society now because, we have Angel flying around. And I'm like, Magneto and the Phoenix just killed a whole bunch of humans and a government-funded facility. how are mutants more accepted into society now?
Yeah, I wondered about that too.
Also,
It doesn't seem like this movie should have made any headway at all on the mutant rights thing. It should have made it worse.
it made it much worse. And also, like when they showed the graves, the screenwriters who were also in the commentary with Ratner said some people think that we should have given Cyclops more of a tribute here, I think was their word. Brett Ratner's response is, yeah, but those are just fans of Scott.
Whoa, did he say that?
Actually said that. Now, I have seen Brett Ratner in person. I nearly attacked the man. No, but
I bet.
In person, and I felt like going up to him saying, hey, thanks for doing all you did for the X-Men and for Cyclops. Just walking away, letting him think about that.
Well, didn't you say that he's like the dean of your school or something?
Yes. Yep.
That's hilarious.
Now, okay, I tease at the beginning of this commentary that I had a thing to say about this film.
Yeah, go ahead.
I first got into reading comics other than Batman through X-Men the Animated Series, and I became a giant X-Men fan. And that show and these characters I consider a part of the reason I am who I am today. It's the reason I'm sitting here talking to Cap right now. I'm a huge part of my life are comic books and the X-Men. And when I entered high school in 7th grade, which is when you enter high school in Australia, I was not in a place where I was reading comics. And in 2006, just before X-Men 3 came out, I saw Batman Begins on DVD, and I hadn't seen it. I didn't see it in the cinema, unfortunately. And suddenly, everything I loved about Batman came rushing back to me. And then I saw X-Men 3. And like I said, I liked it the first time, and then I saw it a second time, and I realized how wrong I was for liking this film in the first place. And everything, all the excitement of getting back into superheroes just died instantly. And I didn't get back into comics for a really long time. This really, it had an effect on me that I didn't want to, invest in something that shaped a part of my life and was something that was so in my childhood. This film really affected me in a really negative way. So when I sit here and I criticize it to death, it's not because I take pride in doing that or I enjoy doing that even. This film actually hurts me, and it took for a while, for like about 3 years, I just didn't have anything to do with comics, which is very strange considering, where I am now, in my life. So this film,
well, I'm glad you came back to it.
So am I. This film had a very negative effect on me, and, of course it wasn't 3 years, it was about 2 years, because then when, The Dark Knight came out, I got back into it, and thankfully I did. So this film had a very, very negative effect on my life for a while. So, movies have the ability to do that. I'm a filmmaker myself, and I'm heavily involved in film, and movies mean a lot to me, and so do comics. And the fact that a comic book movie, made me just took away excitement that I had for a genre that I love. There's a reason that I don't like this film.
I have heard people say before that it's weird to criticize comic book movies too hard because it's cool that we get them at all.
Yeah.
And I can somewhat understand that perspective, and especially after, well, we got 2 really good X-Men films. Is it really that big of a deal that we had such a dud? And I say, well, kind of, because, it's a trilogy and it kills off characters that you come to know, so there's this sort of ongoing story, on top of just these individual movies that stand on their own. And I kind of feel like it's difficult not to get wrapped up in them when they're these movies that are based on these characters that you grew up with and that you love, and you want to see it done well. So there's a certain amount of logic to that, where it's like, well, there was a time when we didn't think we'd ever get X-Men films at all, but I don't think that that's an excuse to make movies that don't work and that insult the viewer. And I feel like this is a movie that really does that. I hate to say, I feel like this movie kind of insults the viewer, where it has these platitudes where it kind of throws in your face, this is what this movie's about. And you're supposed to like it because it's about something and it's deep, and the fact that a movie goes after a certain idea that might be, important culturally at the moment, doesn't mean that it does it effectively.
Yeah. It's just because we're lucky that we get comic book movies isn't an excuse to just let them insult our intelligence. Because that's what, as well as being a bad adaptation, this film just insults your intelligence a lot as a moviegoer, as an audience member.
And these movies are very big. They rake in, a lot of these rake in a lot of money. I think X3 was marginally successful. And the thing is that they're influential. They influence things later on. So we just finished the credits. You got this after credit scene. You should probably say something about that.
Yeah. Well, we hear "Hello, Moira" in Patrick Stewart's voice, and Moira says "Charles," and the inference is, apparently, according to Brett Ratner, that is Xavier's twin that was without a consciousness, because Xavier had such a magnificent brain. So it's kind of like a Cassandra Nova sort of thing, and it's just lame.
I think it's lame too, and I had a number of people complain when a couple years ago when I reviewed this, that I took such that I found it I made such a big deal out of Xavier getting killed off so quickly in the film. And may I say that Xavier dying in this movie is not my problem with it. It's that he dies so early in the film, and that then it just kind of forgets about it, and, well, it doesn't forget about it, but you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I get a chance to process it because there's so much else going on. And I had viewers that were like, well, but he's shown to be alive at the end. Didn't you see that part at the end? And I don't know what it is, but that doesn't help for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with Cyclops. I mean, I don't just hate this film because they don't get Cyclops at all. And I don't hate it because he dies. He dies and nobody cares, and by the end of the film you forget that he did. And so does the character.
Can you think of a single time that a major character in a franchise dies off within the first 20 minutes of a film and it worked?
No. If some people in the comments might be able to think of something, but nothing that I've seen, to be honest.
The only thing I can think of is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm not a big Star Wars guy, so I'll take your word for that.
Something like that, where it works thematically and everything because you've got this mentor that kind of. That movie works in such a way where he kind of has to die for Luke to sort of go on his own way, and what little time we spend with him, we kind of get to know him and get to like him. And also you have the sense, forgetting the prequel trilogy, you have the sense that we're seeing a chapter in the middle of this thing. So this is a character that if those other ones had gotten made before, would have been around for a while. So this isn't his story. But I feel like that's an exception to the rule.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, because it's in the middle of a much larger story. And, because I obviously reviewed X-Men 3 for Who Reviews the Reviewers. And,
oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and when you guys were doing the deliberations, I remember Manos saying, compare Scott's death and Xavier's death to what they did with Gordon in The Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, the difference there is that they brought Gordon back. So.
Well, he wasn't really dead, and I don't know. It's just that movie was also unpredictable in a good way.
Yeah.
Where, you know, like you wonder, because it keeps playing with your expectations. So for a brief moment, you kind of wonder, oh my God, did like Nolan really just kill off Gordon? I don't think anybody thought for more than a minute that maybe that happened.
I remember thinking, he didn't make Commissioner. What? And then sort of remembering, oh, wait a second, there was another scene in the trailer. So, once again, that's where trailers hurt you. But,
oh yeah, there's that. But I totally got why you mentioned that.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of tell people, I don't just hate this movie because they kill off my favorite character. If his death actually meant something, I'd be a little bit more okay with it, maybe. I'm hoping in Days of Future Past that if I was writing the Days of
We all know what you would do if you were writing Days of Future Past.
What I would actually do is I would have Cable save Cyclops from the kiss of death. That explains where he was. The rest of X-Men 3, he was in the future or something.
That'd be cool.
I would love that, because obviously, for those of you who don't know, Cable is Cyclops' son. So he kind of needs Scott to be alive for him to be alive.
And Cable probably will be in Days of Future Past, don't you figure?
Yeah, cool. I don't know if he will be or not. I have no idea what characters they're going to even introduce yet.
Boy, I'd be really surprised if you didn't see Cable or Bishop or both.
Yeah, I think they'd have one of them. I'm surprised they're not going to do Kitty. And
yeah, but like those future characters, it seems like you need them. I mean, Forge too. Like,
well, Forge was the character they used in the animated series adaptation of Days of.
Yeah, but we also know that Singer went to that version a lot for his movies, so I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't use him.
Like that's why they might use Bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm anticipating that film, but I'm also very cautious. I'm very happy that it's Bryan Singer. I just, they're half adapting a story that I love, and the fact that they did X-Men First Class without the First Class of the comics, I know that they're not very conscious of staying very close to source material. But when Bryan Singer's in charge, I'm very, very optimistic. I just, I'm so jaded with the X-Men films that I'm not excited for them anymore. I'm just kind of, let's hope this is good.
Well, and that's fair. And I mean, and I completely understand that, being a big X-Men fan. I mean, from where I'm sitting, we got two not very good X-Men movies with, at least in my opinion, with X3 and Origins. And then, First Class maybe didn't go the direction I would have liked it to have, but it's a solid movie.
It's a solid movie. The reason I like First Class is because for most of the characters, the casting is just so great, and these performances are just brilliant, that most of the problems that I have with the story, I forgive. Based on the performances, actually.
It'll be really interesting to do that movie when we get there with the commentaries, because you and I have mostly agreed with the first three films. It'll be interesting to see where we deviate when we get to the next two.
Yeah, really looking forward to doing X-Men Origins, because I actually have a lot to say with that film that'll surprise people. So.
Well, everybody, thanks a lot for listening to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. Shades, thanks again for coming in and doing this again. And boy, this one I found really tough to get through.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing the commentary, but it's not an easy film to watch. It's not like Batman and Robin, where you can watch it and just laugh at how stupid some things are.
Yeah, sure.
Not that obviously this is miles better than Batman and Robin, but
yeah, sure.
It's one of those things where, as a fan, if it's bad, it's kind of a bit more painful to watch.
Well, we should be back with you shortly with X-Men Origins, probably at least within a month or less. And thanks again for listening. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm ShadesAtKnight.
And we'll see you next time.